Hey y'all, it's Michael, and here are two more books from the Lemonade syllabus. The first book is The Color Purple by Alice Walker. This was made into a popular movie a while back. That was my first exposure of the story, and so I've only seen the movie, and I was really excited when the book was actually on the list because it was a chance for me to actually read the book, and I really enjoyed it. I actually quite love this actually. I would recommend that even if you felt like you know the movie and you love it, I would recommend reading the book anyways, just because it has a slightly different tone to it. It does have more of a queer feel to it. I feel as though I don't really have to talk much about this. This book has been going around BookTube, and I feel like a lot of people read this before. Already have so much exposure to this. I'm just being really late. My friend actually saw me reading this at Starbucks and she was like, I thought you read that in high school. And I was like, no, I wasn't in your class. You're like, oh yeah, I forgot. So this book is an epistolary. It's written in letter form. It's basically Celie and Nettie writing back to each other, back and forth, about their lives essentially. And this takes place in my home state where I live in Georgia. This is really well crafted. I really enjoy that it's written in letter form because we really get to see these characters develop, especially Celie. As you can tell, her writing changes throughout her lifetime. It's written really how people speak, even to this day, how people speak down here. It's quite accurate actually. It has this feel of being real. For me anyways, it felt really grounded, as if these were people. They spoke and they did things. Well, granted, again, I don't know if they actually did it because it is written in letter form, so I have to give them the benefit of the doubt. This also talks a lot about the resilience, because both these two books that I finished currently from the Lemonade syllabus really dives into, well, since both of them are from female perspective, they're really from the resilience of being a black female, but it's actually just a resilience in general to survive and to live. I'm going to talk more about that with the next book. The way that these characters change and develop over time, I think really does help with the way it's written in these letter forms, because we see Celie, she's so beat down and so so tear down, not only by herself, but because of herself, because of the society that she's living in. And we get to see her really develop, and I really like that. And I really enjoy the relationship between her and Shug. Well, she writes to God first, but then it switches. But when she's writing, that she really mentions her, because those are some of my favorite parts. And there are, even though they're going through a lot, this book, I really did enjoy the small parts that even, like, it was really quite humorous and funny. It added like a little bit of lightheartedness to it. I did not know that the relationship between Shug and Celie, I didn't know that that was even a thing. I mean, when I watched the movie, and it's been like a few years since I've watched it. I should probably watch it again. But it's been a few years since I watched it, and I didn't understand that. My friend who saw me reading this, she said, oh yeah, they downplayed it in the movie for sure, because here it is really prevalent. And to me it just felt so natural that these two people would love each other. They respect each other, and it's like they have a good friendship, but even more than that they can go beyond that. In relationship to Lemonade, I think this relates to Beyonce's Lemonade, because I think this one, and again the other one too, is the resilience. Because in Lemonade, in case you don't know, but in the story anyways, now I don't know if this is with Jay-Z, but with her, you know, her husband cheats. There's this moment where she feels as if, like, how could you do this to me? Like, I'm the baddest bitch here. Like, how could you do this to me? Like, what did I do wrong? And then there's this moment where it's like, no, I'm not in the wrong. You are. This is your loss. Like, this is your doing. This is your fault that this has come to this. These are the choices that you make, and you have to deal with it. And I think this relates to this. The Color Purple relates to Lemonade, because there's this moment where you figure out that I am good. I am special. a great person, and I am a bad bitch. Like, it is what it is. And yes, I have flaws, but at the end of the day, I'm a good person. And there's that moment where you learn to love yourself and you learn to accept who you are. This book really does that for me, and I loved it. I gave it 5 stars out of 5. Yeah, I would highly recommend this. Even if you've watched the movie, it's really different. The next book, we go all the way up to Harlem, and it is The Street by Ann Petrie. This takes place in Harlem in the 1940s. This is from a point of view of several characters, but the main character here is Luddy. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Luddy here, I'm gonna call her Johnson. Yeah, okay, so Miss Johnson here. Because I feel like Luddy's, I don't know, it's like one of those words where I just keep saying it over and over again and I feel like it's wrong. But anyways, so our main character, Luddy, she was in a bad relationship with her husband, and so she decides to move out and go stay with her her father. But then she finds out that her environment with her father isn't the best for her son, Bub. So she decides to find a new apartment, and basically this is her trying to find the apartment and what happens when she finds the apartment. And this story is like, if I had to choose one word to describe this, I would just say life. This book is life. And again, I will talk about the resilience of Luddy, because I think that is such an admirable character it's a true characteristic of her. Like, this girl is not trying to live, but literally trying to survive. This book is so good, you guys. If you trust me in any way and watch my videos, go read this. This is fantastic. And I'm going to spend the rest of the time here trying to convince you to read this. I would highly recommend it. Stop this now, go read this, find a copy, go to your library like I did, and go read this. I first heard of this book. I saw Freeform Lady, I'll link her video review down below. I saw her way back, 2015 I think it's when I first seen it. I saw her talk about it, and then I saw Danny, her name is not one small pie anymore. I'll link both of their channels below, and then the video, if I can find it, where they talk about this book. And I was like, oh, okay. And they rated this highly, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to read this. And so I was really excited to actually read into this. And oh my gosh, you guys, this is one of my favorite reads of the year. This was so good. There's a lot to talk about. So let me talk about the story first. First off, this is told beautifully and crafted beautifully. It's told from mainly, of course, Luddy is the main character, but it's also told from perspectives of the people that live and surrounded by that apartment, essentially the street. And I'll talk about the street in a minute. But we do get different perspectives of this environment that they're all in. And I think that works out really well in the way that Petrie is trying to convey the street, because the street is actually a character. It's the main character next to Luddy when you take a step back from it, because the street actually is almost the protagonist, but then it's almost the antagonist. It's almost the hero. It is almost the villain. It's what's holding this story together, and I think it was a really smart idea for Petrie to portray these different characters and switch the view, because I thought it was, because when you first start off, it's mainly from Luddy, and then all of a sudden it switches perspective, and I was like, that's really weird. Why would she choose to do this when it's obviously all about Luddy? But then you find out as you go along, it's really about the street, and I think that was such a smart idea for her. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, yes, at the end of this. Now, do not go into this book thinking you're going to be uplifted, because good God, no spoilers here, but oh my gosh, you guys. This is heart-wrenching. This book took my heart and literally was like, oh, here, and then crushes it oh my gosh, this book, it's so heartbreaking and so sad. I, I it's been a few days since I've finished this, and it's still in my mind. The ending is so like I see it, and it breaks my heart, and I think that is because also this book portrays life, not only Luddy's life, but life in general. Life so real. This book is so real. This book doesn't even the phrase "the struggle is real" doesn't even compare to what this book portrays. Luddy here is literally trying to survive, not live. Okay, you guys, let me get that straight. Not live, like live day to day. Is literally survive, not even day to day, but morning, afternoon, dinner, nighttime. She's literally trying to make a better life for her and her son, and even the side characters to these are so good. One of them is really weird and really perverted and really creepy, but I think you could really do like a lot. You could write a paper about this, because like each character portrays, it's almost like a caricature almost of how the street makes you and consumes of who you are. But because Petri has a way of writing, which I'll talk about in a minute, she really makes these characters so genuine and so real. Petri's really good, especially when she writes about the street, of conveying this feeling of the street and using all of your senses. So obviously you see the street, like I see it in my head, but you hear it. There's the way she described things, you could hear it, and then you can taste it, because there's this I'm gonna leave it at that. You could taste it, you could feel it, but I think she does really well is that you can smell it. There is this part towards the end, I don't think it's a spoiler because it actually contributes nothing to the main plot, but it adds to the effect, is about this teacher who's used to the finer things in life, and she becomes a teacher in Harlem. And the way she describes children, I was like, what? Ew. Like, like in case you guys don't know, I don't like kids. Like, they are, especially when they reach a certain age, it's like, don't try it with me. But the way the teacher describes kids, I was like, wow, this is so good. The way she described the children, how they were noisy, the way they smelled. Oh my gosh, you guys. Okay, so there's this, I want to talk to you about this one part. I know this video is long already, but so previously I was talking about surviving, and part of surviving is, and especially during this time, is about making money. And oh my gosh, wow, that part where she talks about how I have to make money, but I don't want my son to constantly be thinking about me making money. So I don't want him to talk about money. But then when he brings up the topic of money, I shun him. But then I tell him that, no, you can't leave the lights on because of the money. So constantly there's this wheel, and constantly there's these gears turning, that I am trying to not talk about money. But at the end, that's like, it's what's keeping us alive. It's helping me to survive. And the ending, you guys, I just keep seeing it. I saw it in this book. I would highly recommend this. Lemonade wise, this doesn't have a happy ending at all, and I think this is on the Lemonade syllabus, because again, like similar with the color purple, it has this tone of tenacity and resilience that Lemonade, I guess the second half, really does talk about this pushing forward. That's one of my favorite songs on there, Forward, with Kendrick Lamar, which it's such a good song. It's so good. This is one of my favorite reads of the year. I gave it 5 stars out of 5. Go read it. I did see after I wrote down my script and I wrote down what my thoughts are. I love to watch other people's like reviews and see what they think compared to mine. And people were saying that this is like they were comparing it to Richard Wright's Native Son, which you guys, I read that this year. Oh my god, that book is fucking fantastic. But I saw the comparison. I saw people comparing it to it. I mean, I could see it because it has similar tones to it, but I think they are doing something differently, and they do these things differently so well. I would recommend both books. If you haven't read both books, go do it. Those are my 2 books that I read from the Lemonade Syllabus. Let me know what you guys think about it, you guys. As I'm filming this right now, we're so close. We got the hotel. I got my paid time off. We're so close to the concert. I'm so excited. Okay, so yeah, if you read the books, let me know what you think about it. Until then, I'll see you guys till later. Bye!